Good evening. My name is Piet van Zyl. I'm the Head of Business Development and Marketing for PWM, and it's my pleasure to welcome you on behalf of PWM and Investec. As digital threats evolve, cybersecurity has become a critical priority for everyone. Thank you for joining us as we explore the preventative measures, challenges, and innovation shaping our digital safety. We are privileged to be joined by Kevin Hogan. Tonight, a little bit about Kevin. He has been in banking for 23 years, starting out at Nedbank, where he worked first as a credit analyst and was then part of the first retail banking fraud prevention team, which he led until 2009. He then headed up fraud prevention at Standard Bank for 3 years before he joined Investec. Kevin currently manages fraud risk for Investec Private Banking, specializing in financial fraud and social engineering, and he is an expert in false documents, IDs, and passports. Kevin was director at South African Fraud Prevention Services from 2005 to 2009 and has chaired various SABRIC committees over the years, and he holds a BCom in financial risk management. Just a little bit of the housekeeping. If you have questions, please pop them in the chat, and at the back end of the presentation, Kevin and I will go through those to make sure that we cover all of those things. So please join us for what promises to be a great session. Kevin, over to you. I'm going to share my screen and then you can navigate from there.
Cool. Thank you, Piet. I really appreciate it. Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I have been doing this a lot. I have traveled all over the country. It just goes through seasons, and we're in one of those seasons where we are doing this a lot at the moment, but it's really good. I embellish every opportunity to help spread this gospel because so many people are losing money. It's not really great. I think before we start the presentation, let me lay the foundation here quickly. So the reality is that being behind a computer is part of the reason the issues exist, because when you're behind a computer or a cell phone, you feel safe. This is not you walking in your speedo in the middle of Hillbrow at 12 o'clock on a Friday night, eating a hamburger, you looking for trouble. And so, you sit like I am now in my dining room behind my laptop or at home, and you think no one can get to you. I'm safe. And so we do silly things on our devices that we, if we knew what we were doing, we ordinarily wouldn't do. So that's adding to the problem. The other issue as well is that we make certain assumptions as to what hacking is. What does hacking look like? Well, for some of us, it might be the James Bond scenario. You've got the nerdy guy in the clean room with the cool suit and all the big screens up there. And if he decides, to change the robots from red to green at will, he can do that. If he decides to switch the airport runway lights off, he can do that. And maybe it's the guy in grandma's basement. He's eating Cheetos and he's drinking Coke, and and he does really cool coding. And if he decides to mess with you, he absolutely can. And that's just movie nonsense. It really is. All hacking really is manipulating the human being to do something that, for the most part, is actually quite ordinary, is actually quite part of our normal day-to-day, and manipulating those things that feel very normal, but to use that manipulation to get you to fall into their trap. And that's what we're going to do this evening. So we're going to start off by showing you the how. That's really important. And obviously there's a myriad of ways we can do it, but we're going to show you the probably the top 95%. Okay, that'll be the first 4 or 5 slides. And then what we're going to show you is we're going to show you the after effects. So what do those scams look like? What does that modus look like once they're in? We're also going to talk about some of the personal things that you can do to protect yourself, and that'll be our free gift to you. All right, let me share my screen with you, and then we're going to get cracking. Let's watch a cool, fun video first, and then we'll go from there.
Yo, man.
Hello?
Can you help me, man?
Sure. How can I help you?
My account just got wiped.
You must be joking.
I don't know how to let this happen.
By who?
Some guy pretending to be you, Man, I don't know what to do.
It wasn't me.
All right. Our fellow email me, dear customer, there seems to be a payment issue. You need to send us your account number and we'll resolve it for you. How could I be so clumsy and click on the previous link? All this time he was after my password and username. Often brothers with access to your data. Cause on the process always lying in the waiter. You better watch your back, don't fall for the beta. Let's review the situation that you're caught up in. So be yourself, play you have to know how to play. If you say a moment, don't give them time of day. Never listen to a word when they say. And if they claim that they're the bank, tell them no way. But he sent me a reminder. It wasn't me. Messaged me on WhatsApp. It wasn't me. He even called me in the shower. It wasn't me. He told me you won the lottery. It wasn't me. He asked me for my password. It wasn't me. To verify my account number. It wasn't me. I even sent him a picture. It wasn't me. He dreamed my account and it was over. A fellow emailed me, dear customer, there seems to be a payment issue. You need to send us your account number and we'll resolve it for you. How could I be so clumsy and click on the previous link? All this time he was after my password and username. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me.
Okay, a really cool video created by the Dubai Police Department to do exactly what we're doing tonight, sharing how to avoid being a victim of fraud. Okay, so the real money has been stolen behind a laptop. So the money that you can retire in the Cayman Islands with, where you can give the world the middle finger and just literally disappear, that money is being stolen from behind a laptop. Okay, so it's not the CIT heists, it's not the guy robbing you at the ATM. That's just, you know, pizza money, and if you're lucky, you can buy a car with it. The big money has been stolen from behind a laptop. So what exacerbates this problem is that a lot of us, you know, some of us are a little bit older than others. I only touched a computer for the first time in 1995, and back then, no one taught me how to do it safely. It was just this wonderful world of click, 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 see all this cool stuff. And no one actually taught us how to be online safely. It's like putting a 10-year-old child in a 5-liter Mustang. They're going to kill themselves, okay? And this is how it was for all of us. We were like little kids surfing this new world, not really knowing what the consequences would be. And so tonight, hopefully, we can change that a little bit. Okay, so let's dive in. Let's show you the primary modus that fraudsters use to get into your stuff, and that's called phishing. Right. Now, you can be phished over email, you can be phished over SMS, you can even be phished over WhatsApp, you can be phished over, what do you call it? Facebook Messenger, yeah? You can even be phished over the phone, okay? The whole point of phishing is to lay a trail of breadcrumbs for you to follow, okay? They are manipulating you. So let's use the one in front of us as an example. Okay, now you can be phished in a myriad of ways. You can get a phishing email from Eskom. You can get a phishing email from Standard Bank. You can get a phishing email from Investec. You can get a phishing email from State Kinekor. You can get a phishing email from Netflix. They can use any company's logos and use anything. So, for example, during COVID, all the phishing was about PPE and COVID. Okay, so let's use this one as an example. So you may not even bank with us. Okay, we get a lot of clients who are people, not clients, people who phone us who say to us, listen, why am I getting this email from you people? I don't even bank with you. So phishing by its nature generally is quite random. Okay, a lot of you have used the same email address for 30, 40, 50 years. Okay. And so your emails are out there. The fraudsters have got all these email addresses. There is a phishing type called spear phishing where they target you specifically, and they do a lot of research on you when they target you. That is the scary phishing. Stats show us that 89% of corporations or individuals that are spear phished will fall for it and give away their credentials. But phishing generally is quite random. So let's break this one down and we'll walk through the attack. Please be advised this payment was unsuccessful. Attached is a confirmation. If you have any questions, please contact Investec Support Center. Those purple numbers there are our real numbers. If you dial them, you will get through to us. Okay. There is not enough information in this email to actually tell you what it's about. The fraudsters have laid this trail of breadcrumbs for you to follow. So now psychology is at play here. Fraudsters know that most of Western society don't really want to phone call centers for help. You know, none of us want to phone SARS, right? You know, you're going to be on the phone for 3 hours. So you want to try and solve this issue yourself. And so they put that little PDF on the top left-hand corner, outstanding debit. When you open that PDF, this is the page that opens. Okay. It's a fairly crude attempt at an Investec online banking proof of payment. The fraudsters insert the line, Investec hereby confirms that the following payment is currently pending. For details, please click here. And when you click on that link, this is the page that opens. This is an exact replica of Investec online banking front-end login screen. This is not the real one, it is fake, but it looks identical to the real one. Okay. What you don't realize is happening in this particular instance is as you start to type in your username and password, the fraudsters have got the real online banking open next to them, and it is filling the real username and password that you are typing into the fake screen onto the real screen in front of the fraudster. Okay, you then push login. What do you get? You get a one-time PIN on your cell phone. Your brain psychologically is telling you, oh, it's because I logged into this page. So you think it's completely genuine. Meanwhile, it's because the fraudster logged in and pushed logged in. You just happen to get it on your phone because that's the registered device. And you push accept on your app, or you give away the OTP and you let the fraudsters into your bank account. Okay, guys, typically this is how it happens 95% of the time. You are tricked into giving away your credentials. So no guns involved, no intimidation involved, no coercion involved. A simple trick to make you think you were doing something very innocent, very safe because you're at home, and you inadvertently give away your login credentials. Okay, and this is pretty much how it's done everywhere. We're going to show you some more examples of phishing. Right. The next piece really preys upon our bad habits. And like I said to you earlier, we were all thrust the internet. For some of us oldies, the internet was thrust upon us and we jumped on board and we just went crazy, not knowing the consequences. And as part of this journey that we've all been on, even youngsters today, which is quite interesting, we've all developed these collective bad habits. And some of these bad habits have become an entrance or a tool that the fraudsters use to hack us. Okay, one of the primary bad habits that we have is our password habits. So for example, many of you, if not most of you on this call, are using the same username and password for more than one account. Okay, you are all generally doing it. The other issue is that your passwords are extremely weak. Okay, so let's have a look. For most of you, the password to get into your cell phone is 4, 6, or 8 numbers. So if you look at the left-hand column, numbers only, 8 digits. How long would it take a fraudster to get into your cell phone? It is virtually instantaneous. It is not even a challenge. I've seen it done on a locked cell phone in under a minute. Okay. Some of the other issues, okay, you're creating these short passwords. You're also creating passwords that are easy to guess. So hackers use password dictionaries. Okay, so the most common password in the world is the word password. Okay, we've seen clients use their cell phone number as their password. We've seen them use the registration number of their vehicle, home address, grandkids' names, birth dates. You even type them in backwards. The fraudsters know all of this about you. And remember, a lot of your personal information can be found on your social media accounts. Okay, so this is how we're doing it. Now, part of the problem is, and one of the main reasons we're doing this is none of us can remember, unique passwords that are 20 characters long for all these different sites. Okay, that part of our brain died when cell phones came out. Let me demonstrate. Most of you on the call cannot remember 10 cell phone numbers and who they belong to. Okay, that part of our brain just died. So how do we solve this issue? Okay. So what you've got to do is find a way to be able to create long, unique passwords for each of your account, okay, at least 20 characters, and remember them. So there's 2 possible ways you can do this. So number 1, you can write the passwords in a book. My wife does this. The problem with that is that she has lost the book at least twice, and that causes a lot of pain. Okay, she's waving her finger at me here, saying I'm giving away all her secrets. So there's actually nothing wrong with doing that, but now you have the additional burden of looking after the book. Okay, it's actually a really safe way to do it because now your passwords are not online. Okay, but you've got to look after the book, and very often we're going to leave the book on the table at work. We're not going to look after it. We're going to lose it, but it is a good way to do it. It's much better than using the same password on multiple accounts. The other alternative is you can invest in a password manager. So what is a password manager? So you can go into the App Store and you can download a password manager. pick one of the top 5 in the App Store. Please, you must use the paid-for version. The free version is never going to help you. For many of you, you don't understand that when you get something for free, you are the product. Okay, so please invest in a password manager, a paid-for password manager. If you own a small business, you can actually buy a corporate license for the business and give it to all your staff. You can minimize this password risk that you may have. The password manager is really cool because everything is encrypted. So, like, for example, a major password company was hacked a couple of years ago, LastPass. It doesn't matter that they were hacked and that the fraudsters stole all these passwords because they're all encrypted. Without the decryption keys, you can't read the password, so it doesn't matter. Okay, now the problem with this statement is that many of you are actually logging into all your stuff already without putting in a password. Why is this? Well, it's because you open stuff up on your browser, on your laptop, and it popped up on the screen and it said, do you want to save the password? And you clicked yes. And now you're going into all your stuff without putting in a password. Very different to a password manager. It is now cached on your computer and it's not encrypted. So if I steal your computer, if I steal your cell phone, I'm going to see all your passwords. Okay, so please, that is not the same as a password manager. You need to invest in a password manager that encrypts all your passwords. The only password you would ever need to remember is for the password manager itself, and it needs to be nice and long. Okay, right, let's move on.
Inside Terminal 5 at the Los Angeles International Airport, dozens of people are on their computers. Gregory Evans is a former hacker whose resume includes 2 years in federal prison.
We were doing almost $1 million, if not more, a week against some of the biggest corporations in the world.
We set up in a corner of the terminal so that Evans, who now owns a cybersecurity company, could show us just how vulnerable people are to hackers.
I will go and set up a fake Wi-Fi and watch everybody connect to it. And once they connect to it and they start surfing the internet, now what I'll do is just grab all their traffic.
We launched a fake network named LAX Free Wi-Fi. Within minutes, people started connecting to it. Evans then showed us how a hacker can record everything off a computer that joined our network by tracking what I was doing on my laptop.
So if they go to their bank, it'll grab all their banking information. If they go to their Facebook, it'll grab all that, their Twitter accounts. If they're writing love letters, I can grab all of that.
Or, Evans says even worse, if a hacker has enough time, spyware can be installed, which stays with the victim.
You get on the plane, you go to one country, I go to another. But everything that you do, as long as you have that computer, is going to be emailed back to me.
During our experiment, we stumbled across what appeared to be a real hacker at work. Along with our fake network, there was another one called Free Public Wi-Fi. Airport administrators told us T-Mobile is the only authorized Wi-Fi provider.
So you think that there could be a hacker here right now?
That's correct.
Catching and prosecuting a hacker, especially at an airport, is extremely difficult. E.J. Hilbert is a retired FBI agent who specialized in cybercrime.
It's virtually impossible to catch them. Law enforcement's aware of this, and there's always the next piece. You steal the cards, you steal the information, you got to use them somewhere. And that's when you start getting the real investigations going.
Experts say there are a few things you can do to protect yourself. If you're at an airport or a public spot, find out who the Wi-Fi provider is and use that. If it costs some money, pay the money. They also say change your password every now and then and use different passwords for different accounts. Another tip, turn your computer off when you're not using it. And if you do go online using a public Wi-Fi, keep in mind that someone may be watching you.
You don't know if you're getting on a true Wi-Fi or you're connecting to some hacker's network. Like, you don't know if you're connecting to me or if you're really connecting to the airport.
Ted Rollins, CNN, Los Angeles.
So guys, I could show you video after video after video of all these various attacks that can be used to exploit you, and doing something as normal as logging into free Wi-Fi can be used. And there's a whole bunch of other examples like that. And I'm only going to use one, obviously. We don't have all night. And I just want to demonstrate how easy this is to do. Okay, so I'm not a technical guy. I can't code. I can't do any of that cool stuff. And even I can do this fraud. Okay, let me demonstrate. So you go to O.R. Tambo Airport. We actually did this. You know, I needed to prove that I could actually do it. And I had a little MiFi device. Now, the name of the lounge is SA Lounge_guest. Okay, so I had a MiFi device. I called my Wi-Fi SA Lounge/guest. In the lounge, they've got placards on the wall with the Wi-Fi password or a little fishbowl with slips in. I use that password for my Wi-Fi signal as well. Okay. Now you walk in as an unsuspecting victim. You get on your phone, you get on your laptop, and you see SAA Lounge/guest. You look on the wall, or you've got the little slip in front of you, and you put in the password, and it works. You are now connected to Wi-Fi. Do you not think that you're not going to believe that you're on the correct Wi-Fi? Okay, you absolutely are going to believe that. And I will see everything that you are doing. It'll be like watching a movie. Okay, every website you go into, every password you type in, everything. Okay, so the golden rule here is please do not use free Wi-Fi. Okay, let me just demonstrate practically how this plays out in the real world. My family and I had an opportunity to travel in December. We arrived in the UK, got on the tube, got off at King's Cross, walking to a hotel. The first thing we did is we stopped at a cafe and bought 3 SIM cards, £20 each, got to the hotel, took the SIM cards out of the phones, the South African SIM cards, put those SIM cards into the phones, and £20 got us like 20 gigs each. It was really cool. And then WhatsApp pops up and says, do you want to keep your South African number? And you say yes. So now you've got data and your WhatsApp will work. You can phone your family, your friends can phone you, you can WhatsApp each other. Everything works beautifully. Okay, no free Wi-Fi. You can also invest in an eSIM if you want to. They are a little bit expensive. That's why I opted to do the physical SIM card. It was at least, in my opinion, 50% cheaper. But eSIM is very convenient. You can roam across the world with an eSIM. You don't have to keep changing SIMs. You just flip between countries, but it does come at a bit of a cost. You pay for that convenience. But please, no free Wi-Fi. All right, just buy yourself a MiFi device. If you're going overseas, buy a SIM card in that country or get an eSIM. Otherwise, the fraudsters are going to exploit you. Okay, right. So this is the one fraud that if you are in business, it doesn't matter whether you're selling cupcakes or whether you're selling, multi-billion rand, I don't know, aeroplanes or centrifuges for nuclear power. It doesn't matter what you're doing. This fraud can touch you. Okay, it is the most common business fraud in the world. It's known as business email compromise. That is its technical name, simply called email hacking. Okay, and I want to demonstrate this. But first, let me scare you with a real stat. So there is a 23% chance that you will catch the seasonal flu. That is a real stat. However, there is a 28% chance that you could be a victim of a business email compromise or an email hack fraud. Okay, so you are more likely to be a victim of BEC fraud than you are to catch the flu. So please remember that. Right, I want to walk you through the attack so that you can protect yourself. So let me use a real example that we had. We had one of our bankers meet a client at a coffee shop, and they were busy going through all sorts of stuff. And the client turns around to the banker and says to him, listen, I'm doing some alterations on my house. My builder has sent me an invoice for the week. I'm going to forward you that invoice. Please, would you pay the invoice for me? And the banker says, no problem, I'll sort you out. Meeting ends, goes back to the office, and here in his inbox is the invoice from the client. What we didn't know at the time was that the client's email account had been hacked or compromised. How does this happen? It's exactly what I've shown you earlier. It's the phishing, logging into stuff and giving away your credentials, your login credentials. It's the bad password habits, okay? You're using single sign-on. So, for example, if you have a Gmail account, you can log into multiple things with your Gmail account. That is a huge no-no, okay? So even though sites allow you to do it, don't do it, okay? And your passwords are weak, obviously, or you've logged into free Wi-Fi and they've harvested that information. Those probably cover like 95% of the scenarios. All right. So the hackers were in his email account. The first time I encountered a BEC fraud was in April of 2013. The assumption I made back then was that the hackers would get into your email account and sit and watch what you were doing. That is not the case. Because if that's the case, as a hacker, I can only manage one person. I want to be able to manage multiple people. Okay, and this is exactly what you're looking at now. So what the fraudsters do is they set up filter rules. All email accounts come with this capability. So whether you're using Outlook 365, AfriHost, Gmail, it doesn't matter what you're using, Apple Mail, it's irrelevant. They've all got this capability. So what the fraudsters do is they log in and they go into the filter rules. Here they are here, and they add filters to or keywords to the filter rules. There you see at investec.co.za, David Worker, one of our bankers, Standard Bank, and there's a redirect address, renniestravel@gmail.com. You can even use keywords like quotes, banking details, mail delivery, or invoice. So in the scenario that I painted for you, client emails us the invoice, his email account had been compromised, it triggered against the word invoice, it deleted the email. That's what the rule does. It says do not deliver this to Investec and redirect it. There you see the redirect address to renniestravel@gmail.com. So we never saw the original invoice, okay? The hackers got it. All they did on that invoice, they just did one thing, literally one thing, is they changed the bank account number on the invoice. That's all they did, okay? Now, it could also be in the body of the email, so you just simply change the bank account number in the body of the email. I just also want to put this out there that just because you PDF a document does not mean that document cannot be altered. Even if you password protect that document, does not mean that document cannot be altered, okay? You can download the algorithm to unlock that PDF off the internet, okay? That's just the reality. So don't let PDF or even password protecting a PDF give you a false sense of security, all right? So now the fraudsters change the bank details on that document. They leave everything else exactly the same. So all the historical conversations and the emails, all of that stuff is there to give it an air of authenticity, and they forward that on to Investec in this case, and they spoof the sending email address. So what is spoofing? So you can just go and Google these words when you have a chance. How do I spoof an email address? You'll get hundreds of websites. Some of them are charged as low as $2. You can pretend to be anyone on the planet, okay? And so we received this email. Now, obviously, we're a big bank. We've got protocols in place. We have unfortunately fallen for this on more than one occasion, but thank goodness our protocols have now been refined to such an extent. We haven't had any one of these in about 7 years, 8 years, which has been really good. And essentially the process that we follow at Investec, we call it our callback process. So we pick up the phone to the number on record, we phone our client, and we go through a verification process. Did you send us this email? Yes, I did. Are you intending to pay this company 400,000 Rand? Yes, I am. Read the bank details you want us to pay back to us. Okay, we don't read it to them, they read it to us. The other question we ask them is, are these your personal bank details? Are you familiar with them, or do they belong to a third party? If they belong to a third party, we will not pay them. You have to phone the company yourself, not email, and verify those bank details telephonically, and then tell us they are correct. Okay, now we do the phone call thing because that's how we do it at our bank. Investec, we pride ourselves in being a high-touch bank. We like to talk to our clients. I want to give you a tip to do this very cheaply, because some of you might not have big businesses. You might not be able to, spend money on systems and all sorts of stuff. One of the easiest ways to actually do this is to use WhatsApp for Business. Okay, so this is not you on your cell phone sending stuff to your clients. WhatsApp for Business is a desktop application from WhatsApp, and it acts just like your phone does. You can create a logo for the company, you can create a profile for the company, and you can then WhatsApp documents to your clients. You can have WhatsApp conversations with your clients. The difference is that it's encrypted end to end. So you cannot change the message when it's in flight. You cannot intercept the documents when it's in flight. So you get a very high security lift at a very low cost. And it's extremely convenient. In South Africa, we are all WhatsApp users. Okay, the problem here, guys, is email. Email is the most unsecure way to send information to people. Okay, so you can't be sending bank details. You can't be sending KYC documents and stuff like that. Confidential contracts and things like that should never be going over email. The other alternative is a lot of attorney firms use something called Secure Chat. It's a product offered by a company called LexisNexis, and essentially what they would do is when they're onboarding the client for the first time, they say, go and register on Secure Chat, and obviously the company has it, and now all your conversations going forward are not over email. It is over the Secure Chat protocol. That is how you will speak to them going forward, all in the name of avoiding BEC fraud. Remember, 28% chance that you could fall victim to it, higher chance than getting the seasonal flu. Okay. It is also the biggest corporate fraud in South Africa. So please remember that. I've even seen this fraud done at a bicycle shop. Okay. The next thing I want to show you, we're going to start to go into a little bit more personal stuff. I want to show you the biggest retail fraud in the country. So this is the biggest fraud that the banks are experiencing currently. And again, it's targeting the human being. So it's called phishing over the phone, or vishing. And a lot of you think, well, I can't be conned over the phone. I'm far too intelligent for that. Okay. So what I want to do initially is play you a video from the Black Hat conference in Vegas. Essentially, all the good hackers come together and they conference and they share stuff with each other and they share techniques and stuff like that. And you're going to see a young lady demonstrate how easy it is to manipulate someone over the phone. And then I'll show you how the actual fraud works. All right.
They're going to hack me using social engineering, which is essentially hacking without any code. They just use a phone and an internet connection.
You want to do a sample phishing call?
What's phishing?
Phishing is voice solicitation. And basically what you do is you use the phone to extract information or data points that can be used in a later attack.
Let's do it. Who are you going to call?
Maybe I'll call your cell phone provider and
Okay.
see if I can get them to give me your email address.
I bet they're good. I bet they have my back. But yeah, go for it.
I'm going to spoof from your number, so it's going to look like it's calling from you.
Okay.
Hi, I'm so sorry. Can you hear me okay? My baby, I'm sorry. my husband's like, we're about to apply for a loan and we just had a baby and he's like, get this done by today. So I'm so sorry. I can't call you back. I'm trying to log into our account for uses information and I can't remember what email address we used to log the account. The baby's crying and can you help me? Awesome.
In just 30
At
seconds,
gmail.com.
Jessica gets access to my personal email address.
Get to add our older daughter on our account so she could call in and make changes. How would I need to go about doing that? You would have to send me a secure PIN through a text message. Yeah, well, the thing is, I don't think I'll be able to receive a text message if I'm on the phone. Oh, I'm not on there either? So I thought when we got married, he added me to the account.
Jess uses my girlfriend's name and a fake social security number
5127.
to set up her own personal access to my account.
Wait, I'm sorry. So there's no password on my account right now? Can I set that up?
She even gets the support person to change my password.
Thank you so much for your help today.
So she just basically blocked me out of my own account.
I'll get her fed after this. All right. Thank you.
Okay, so a very good example of, yes, you can be manipulated over the phone. Let me take you through the attack and show you how it works. Okay, there are two scenarios at play here. Scenario one is that they have already phished you and you have already given away your username and password for your online banking. That is already done. The attack is to get you to reveal the one-time PIN, okay, which is the one sent to your phone, which is the second layer of protection to get into your bank account. The other scenario is they do not have your login credentials yet, but part of the attack is to get you to give it away. Okay, let's deal with the first one. So what's going to happen first in the attack is you're going to get an SMS. The SMS is made to look like it's come from your bank, okay? And you're just going to get it randomly out of the blue. So let's go through it. Investec Bank, good day, Mr. So-and-so. Our consultant was unable to contact you telephonically in regard to a suspicious transaction of an amount of 15,499 on your Visa card. If this is your transaction, please reply 1 for yes. If this is not your transaction, please reply 2 for no, and one of our specialists will call you back. Okay, so you reply 2 for no, it's not you. Literally within 5 to 10 seconds, your phone will ring. They need to call you before you have a chance to call the real bank, okay? Now, many of you on the call use an app called Truecaller, okay? Now, if you are a Truecaller user, I would highly recommend that you delete Truecaller, okay? If you are not a Truecaller user, that's fine. You can still be manipulated through other means. Like you heard the lady in the call say she's spoofing from that person's number. They can spoof anyone's number, okay? But Truecaller in this instance is being used to manipulate you. How? You will notice that it says Investec Card Division, but the bottom is a cell phone number. So the fraudsters have registered all the bank's names under their own numbers. The reason being is that Truecaller does not vet any of the information that they are supplied. So, for example, if an insurance company incessantly calls you and you decide, okay, I'm going to mark them as spam. I mark them as spam, and then all the users around it will know that it's an insurance company trying to sell you something. Now, Truecaller does not vet that you have marked that person as spam because they are an insurance company. They didn't check an insurance company. They didn't check that they were doing unsolicited sales and things like that. They just accepted what you told them carte blanche. Okay. And it's this process that Truecaller is manipulating you in order to get their numbers registered and to look like all the banks. Right. So now you pick up the phone. They say, hi, Mr. Smith. This is John from Investex Fraud Team. Thank you for responding to our alert concerning a fraudulent transaction on your card for 15,499. We just want to confirm that this was not your transaction. And you say to them, absolutely, it was not me. Right. They then say to you, please don't panic. We can reverse this transaction for you. We're going to send you a secure PIN. Please, would you supply the secure PIN into the system, type it into the system, and the secure PIN will automatically reverse the transaction for you. Okay. Now, guys, there's actually no system here. They use this language on purpose because most of us actually know that we shouldn't be giving people information over the phone. So what the fraudsters do is they say, please put the secure PIN into the system and it'll automatically reverse it. There is no system here, guys. This is just normal SMS. They basically should have said to you, please SMS us the OTP. That's what they should have said. They're just cloaking it in this fancy word. Okay. The fraudster logs into your bank account because he's already stolen your username and password. You get the one-time PIN on your phone and you don't read what it says because I can't speak for the other banks, but we certainly tell you why you're getting the OTP. So, for example, we'd say to you, this OTP is for a login onto Investec Online, and we actually tell you the device is logging in. Is it an Apple or is it a Microsoft computer? We actually tell you what it is. And most people don't read it. Especially if you've got Truecaller. Truecaller will obfuscate all that information and just show you the 4 numbers. Okay, so that's another reason to get rid of it. So now you SMS the OTP back to the fraudsters. You essentially let them into your bank account. They even get a bit cheeky. You see it on the far right-hand side. They send you an SMS to say, this transaction has been successfully reversed. Right, now they are in your bank account. In this particular example, this attack I'm showing you now, they started to create virtual cards and then wanted to spend on those cards. They generated a transaction for 1370. And what the fraudster will do is say, oh, we've just seen the fraudster attempt a transaction of 1370 on your account. Now, you would have obviously gotten this message, right? They then say to you, please, would you put the one-time PIN into the system, quote unquote, and it'll reverse that transaction as well. Now, you might be getting a little bit suspicious by now. And you say to them, listen, how do I know you actually from the bank? You know, you're asking me to give away all this stuff. Now, remember, they're already in your bank account. So all they do is simply read the information in your bank account. They'll say, oh, you've got a bond with us. You owe us 2.3 million rand. They might even give you the street address of where the bond is held. You've got a BMW finance with us. There's 97,000 rand outstanding. Oh, and we can see you used McDonald's on Friday night. Okay. So then you're thoroughly convinced you're talking to the bank. And you put in, quote unquote, you SMS the OTP back to the fraudsters. And essentially what you do is you authorize that purchase on your card. They created a virtual card. Now, please remember, any OTP that you give away, any transaction that you authorize, even though it's inadvertently and it's not you doing it because you're of a sound mind, the banks will repudiate any claim you make because you have literally authorized those transactions. Okay. And so the banks won't refund you because you've now given away the PIN for that transaction. Okay. We had a client who did this 52 times. All right. Kept him on the phone for 3 hours and cleaned him out of 3.1 million rand. He thought the bank was helping him. He thought that these attackers were completely persistent and that the bank was giving him amazing service and blocking all these transactions. And by the time it was all said and done, 3.1 million rand was gone. So please, if you have elderly parents on pension and things like that, make sure that you talk to them about this fraud. If you get this SMS followed by a call, please do not engage with those people at all, okay? Rather hang up and phone your bank and chat to your bank. Even quicker, you can just log into your phone, to your bank account on your phone and just check in your app what's going on and see if any funds are leaving your account. All right, biggest retail fraud in the country at the moment. Most of us have received this SMS that says there's a package waiting for delivery, outstanding VAT or delivery fee, okay? But many of you don't know what this attack is and how they're doing it, right? So there are 2 versions of this attack at play. So version 1 is the more, the one that catches people out the most. And essentially how version 1 of the attack works is you have legitimately bought something online. You are expecting a package, okay? Bad actors in the courier companies are selling you information to the syndicates. Your name, your surname, your email address, your cell phone number, and the real tracking number of your genuine parcel. So for example, in the Fastway example there, they create an email with the correct logos of the courier, and they quote your real tracking number. Okay, and this catches out most people. The other one is just quite random. There you see it there, EPX Courier Services, your shipment is ready. Please confirm the shipping cost for your order by clicking here. So now when you click on the link or the track parcel, a page opens asking you for your credit card information to fill it in. So your brain is saying to you, I'm only paying 40 Rand and 50 cents. So you start to put in your card information. You get to the bottom of the screen. Now, what you don't realize you've done is the fraudster's got a cell phone next to him open. He has linked it to that page that you are busy with, okay? And what it's actually doing is it's filling your card, as you type your credit card information in, it's filling it onto the fraudster's phone. He's got a Google Pay wallet open, and it's filling your card information onto that Google Pay wallet. Okay, you get to the bottom of the screen with all your card info and you push pay now. That is not a payment button. That button, actually what it is doing is it's going, bank, please would you authorize this card information that I've just typed here to be loaded onto this cell phone? And the bank sends you a one-time PIN to say, here's the one-time PIN to authorize that card information to be loaded onto that Google Wallet. And the banks actually tell you that that's the case. We certainly do. And again, same story. People don't read what we're telling them. They simply just type in the OTP. And the fraudster presents a screen to you saying, please enter your payment one-time PIN. But it is not a payment one-time PIN. You put in the OTP, and what do? You inadvertently authorize your card information to be loaded on a fraudster's cell phone. They are more than likely overseas. And in South Africa, for example, you can tap on a phone for 500 Rand and less with no PIN. Overseas, that's up to 200 pounds. Okay, that's 5,000 Rand every time they're tapping your phone. This fraud, another example, is Netflix. They tell you your subscription or your payment details are about to expire. You please need to update your information. Exactly the same fraud. When you click on that link, a page opens asking you for your credit card information. Exactly the same thing will happen. Okay, I've lost count of how many people have fallen for this scam. At Investec, luckily, we found a really clever way to fix this. So we don't have that issue anymore, which is really cool. So I'm very happy for that. Right, this is my free gift to everybody on the call. So I always feel morally obligated to share a little bit more personal detail than I normally would, even though this is a corporate setting. But I really just want you to go home knowing that we've tried to take care of your business, that PWM has partnered with you to take care of your business, but at the same time, we're taking care of you in your personal capacities. And so if you listen to me on this screen, the likelihood that you will have a card-related fraud is extremely, extremely remote. Okay, I need to preface this with a disclaimer though. Some of the things I'm going to show you now, not all the banks offer the same features. So let me give an example. I know that Capitec does not offer a pause or soft block feature for their virtual cards. And it is crucial to have that functionality in order to do what I'm about to show you. Okay, so please make sure if you don't bank with Investec that your bank A offers virtual cards, which most of them do, and B has the same functionality that I'm about to show you now. Okay, obviously I'm going to use Investec as an example, and I'm going to walk you through how I do it, and I want you to copy that. Okay, if you do what I show you, chances of you having card fraud very low. Right. So for example, at Investec, we allow you to create 5 virtual cards for free. You don't get charged for them. Some of the banks allow you to create up to 10, which is really cool. So currently in my banking app, I have 5 virtual cards. I've used my entire allocation. And what's different is all those cards are soft block. You will notice on the screen on the left, there is a pause button. All my cards are paused. They are not active. So if someone somehow got that card information, they hacked Netflix or one of those guys, and they stole that card information and tried to use it, that card would decline because it is paused. That is the whole point of this discussion. Right, so let me walk through you a typical scenario. So now I want to shop online. So this is an actual screenshot of my online shopping cart, okay? And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to Take A Lot, Takealot has saved my card information. Remember, all these shopping sites have saved your card information. So Booking.com has saved it, Amazon has saved it, Shine has saved it, all of them have done that. So I select the card, I go to checkout, now I want to shop. Now what I do is I unpause my virtual card, right? And I now make my purchase. Once the purchase goes through, all I simply do is I pause the card again. That's really important. That's how you're going to protect yourself. Booking.com got hacked 3 or 4 years ago, give or take. We had 300 clients who had used their physical plastic card on Booking.com, right? All 300 of those clients had fraud. So what I want you to do, your physical card is redundant. You do actually not need it, okay? The only thing you need a physical card for is to book a hotel room, to hire a car, and to draw money from an ATM, okay? I don't want you to use physical cards at toll gates or anywhere else, please, okay? Rather, tap with your phone at the toll gate. If they do not offer tap functionality, pay cash, okay? But for most things, you do not need a physical card anymore, all right? So now, I want you to start to get to you using virtual card as your primary cards. For everything online, I want you to load a virtual card. If you've got an iPhone, it's Apple Pay. If it's a Samsung, it's Samsung Pay. If you don't have those two, it'll more than likely be Google Pay. Much safer to tap with your phone than with a physical card, okay? Because what happens when you tap with your phone is you do not share the card information with the terminal. You are sharing what we call a token. It's a security token. That security token is talking to the terminal. Your card information is never shared. Okay, much, much safer to do that. And it's obviously a lot more convenient. Right. Now, I quickly want to walk through. So I've got an online shopping card, and that's what I do all my online purchases with. So like, for example, Black Friday is coming up in November. You want to be using a virtual card for online shopping. You unpause the card, you go and buy your stuff. As soon as you're done, you pause. Okay, you're done. You're super safe. Right. I've got an online booking card. That's the one for the hotels and the cars and the airline tickets and all the stuff that happens when we travel. That card's also paused. Okay, so let me give you an example there. I used that card when we did all the bookings for when we went abroad in December. I'd used my online booking card, 10, 11, 12 times. And because I knew that Booking.com had been hacked a few times, I was a little bit nervous. So what I then did, you'll see the cancel button on the right, is when I was done using that card, I canceled the card. I wiped it out. That card doesn't exist anymore. You'll see the bottom right, I pushed the plus button and I created a brand new virtual card again. I just called it online bookings. And now my online booking card is brand new. It's never been used. Okay, so I'm actually sort of exempt from that fraud from a booking perspective completely, but the card is paused as well. I have a PlayStation card. My son is a gamer. PlayStation store's been hacked 3 times. So that card is paused. So when my son comes to you and says, Dad, I want to get V-Bucks or I want to do this, unpause the card, make the purchase on the PlayStation store, and then pause the card again. Same with my Apple Pay card. I pause the card when I'm not using it, when I'm not at the shops or anything like that. And lastly, I have a debit order card. Now, it's not convenient to pause the debit order card because the debit orders could run on funny dates. So what I do in my personal is the only card that's not paused is the debit order card. However, I do manage my risk a different way. You will notice on the right that we have settings on the card. So what I do for my debit order card is you'll see I've only switched it on for online purchases. That card can't do anything else, right? And then I know that my debit orders on that card only come to about 800 Rand a month. So not the daily limit. I've set the daily limit to 0 and I set the monthly limit to 800 Rand. So you can only spend 800 Rand a month on that card. So if Netflix got hacked or Disney, who's got this card information, the most they would ever be able to steal from me is 800 bucks. So I've seen so many situations where someone gets paid on the Monday, the hackers hit them on the Tuesday and steal their entire salary. Okay, so guys, if you do this, the chances of you experiencing a card-related fraud is extremely remote. Okay, it's a great product. Let's move on. Excuse me, I'm going to let it play while I talk. So cell phone snatching, cell phone theft, it applies to losing your cell phone as well. So they are not stealing the cell phone because you've got a pretty iPhone 16 and they want to wipe it clean and give it to their nephew for Christmas, or they want to wipe it and put it in a second-hand cell phone shop. That will eventually happen. Excuse me. That will eventually happen, okay? Now, the nature of cell phone theft or snatching is it's quite random in its nature. This poor lady happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Her phone was exposed, so she was an easy target. We have not, they're not going to follow you for 6 or 8 weeks and do research on you before that. It is extremely random. We've had staff members, our office is quite close to Sandton City Shopping Centre. We've had staff members who will walk into Sandton City on their phones and the phone gets snatched out of their ear while they are on the phone. Guys come up from behind. And so the reason they're taking the phones is none of you can log into your bank accounts without your cell phone. You need the phone. That is where the OTP or the in-app message is sent to access the bank account. That's why they're stealing the phones. Okay. Now you say to me, Kevin, phone's been stolen, it's locked. How do they get into the phones? Well, remember we spoke about that right at the beginning. It's those rubbish 4, 6, and 8-digit passwords that you have. So there was a raid done on a cell phone shop in Alexander Township, not far from Sandton. 2 Pakistani nationals ran that cell phone shop. Inside of that cell phone shop was a device called the Cellbrite Pro. Cellbrite Pro should only be in the hands of government or law enforcement. There is another product called Grey Key. These 2 products are designed to get into phones. Only law enforcement or government should have them. So if they arrest a bad guy and seize his phone, they're not going to go to him and say, oh, please give us your password for your phone. He's going to tell them to go fly kites. They need this technology to get into those phones. So these 2 Pakistani dudes had this Cellbrite Pro in the shop. And what they were doing is they were finding random guys like this dude in the blue jacket, random guys in the street to say, listen, if you bring me cell phones, I'll give you 300 Rand for every cell phone you bring me. And they gave them little bags about the size of a makeup bag stitched with copper. It's called a Faraday bag. And I've got photographs of it standing on the counter in the cell phone shop like this. And these guys would randomly go out, just like you saw in the video, finding victims to steal their phones. They would put the phone in the Faraday bag. It would cut the phone off from the world, right? So you can't send a remote wipe command. You can't send a Find My iPhone, any of that stuff. And they would bring it back to the cell phone shop, plug it into the Cellbrite Pro. And if your password is weak, 4, 6, 8 digits, it's going to open that thing in under a minute. So for example, because I know this, the password for my cell phone is 23 characters long. Okay. You say to me, whoa, Kevin, I always get a deep breath or something like that from people when they hear that, but I don't put that password in every time. I use facial recognition 99% of the time. Facial recognition does work. Okay. The fraudsters are logging in with a password because if a face fails, the phone falls back. Okay, to password. So it's the weak passwords that is allowing the Cellbrite Pro to decode it. The longer the password gets, the harder it becomes, or the longer it's going to take. So my password probably take them 1,000 years to crack. Okay, so they would run the algorithm, and in 1,000 years' time, it would probably open the phone. Okay, but that's the whole point of the password length. And it comes with some level of inconvenience, but there's a lot of security behind it. Okay, so guys, you need to lose this thing around convenience and security. You've got to lean on security. Otherwise, you're going to be defrauded. Okay, so they open the phone. Now they're in the phone. How do they get into the bank accounts? Because that requires a password all of its own. Well, it's quite simple. Many of you have used your phones as diaries. You are saving your passwords on your phones. Okay, in the contacts, in the notes, whatever the case may be. Now, there are some of you, granted, that don't do this, okay? What you don't realize is that the phone is saving the passwords anyway. Okay, so for example, with an iPhone, there is something called a keychain. The keychain saves all your passwords, okay? And this is how you are able to log into all your stuff without putting in a password. Now, how do I access your keychain? It's quite simple. When I steal your phone and I crack the password, I can see your keychain because the keychain requires a password and it's the rubbish password for your phone, the 4, 6, and 8 digits. Okay, so you don't even know that all your passwords are actually sitting there. So it's quite ridiculous. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is how they're getting into the phones. So now, if your phone is lost or stolen, the first thing you must do is borrow a phone and call your bank and block all your bank accounts, right? Only once you've done that do you phone your internet service provider and then blacklist the phone in SIM. The mistake a lot of our clients have made is they assume, oh no, it's password protected and it's facial recognition, no one's ever going to get in. And they phone their service provider and they just, look, I just want to blacklist the phone and SIM it was stolen. I'll go and get a new phone tomorrow. I'm insured. Yay, I get a new phone. and you arrive at the cell phone shop and you get a new SIM with your old phone number on it, and you put it in the phone, and all of a sudden these transactions come through. Because all blacklisting the phone did was cut that phone off from the cellular network. The phone will still connect to Wi-Fi. That's all you need. Okay, guys, this is cell phone snatching. Just anecdotally, the fraudsters developed this technique in South Africa and exported it to the world. Up until about 3 years ago, this didn't happen in the UK. And our UK colleagues used to laugh at us, living in gangster's paradise. Now they are seeing this huge. I saw a YouTube video the other day where someone was sitting on the tube. If you've ever been to the London tube, there's a seat close to the door. And some guy was sitting there with his legs crossed on his phone. And as the doors beep, they go beep, 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 and then they close. A bad guy came in, snatched the phone out of his hands, and then the tube doors closed. And he just stood there watching, pulling away with the fraudster holding his phone. Okay. And lastly, what I want to show you quickly, and I need to preface this with a disclaimer, I'm not trying to turn you into identity document experts. But what I would like to do is demonstrate that sometimes doing KYC is purely a tick box exercise, and all you're doing is randomly complying with regulation. You are not doing this with any level of intelligence, okay? Now, if you want to make KYC bulletproof, if you want to make identification bulletproof, you've got to invest some money. So let's talk about that right up front. To do authentication of an individual 100%, you have to use facial recognition, okay? So for example, at Investec, we have an app for our bankers. When they onboard someone for the first time, the client gets sent a secure link. They click on that secure link. It links them into the facial recognition page, and the client, they have a selfie taken of themselves. It runs an algorithm. That algorithm checks that you are a living, breathing human being, okay? That image then gets sent to Home Affairs, and it compares the image that we've just done on facial recognition with the picture at Home Affairs, and it tells us, yes, that is the correct person. That is the correct person. That is who they are. That is the only way to do this, unless you can also do fingerprint biometrics. That is the only way to do this correctly with technology. Okay, but here's the catch, and this is one of the problems. Home Affairs have increased that service's price by 1,000%. Okay, so what we're going to start to see is that guys who may have been using that technology previously, that price point is going to increase exponentially, and they're essentially locking you out of the market. So there's actually the Banking Association is launching a legal action against Home Affairs because they're essentially going to block people like you out of getting this type of technology. So the banks have it, we have it, but our fee has it's gone crazy. The invoices that we are getting now are just absolutely criminal, literally criminal. However, I want to show you that you can do this with some level of intelligence. And again, I'm not trying to turn you into experts. Right, so let's look at Bradley. This ID, this green ID is fake. I will tell you that up front, okay? But all of you cannot tell me, unless you've seen this presentation before, because obviously you would know, cannot tell me why this ID is fake, okay? For most of you, what the scenario looks like is Bradley's not even going to walk into your office at all. You're going to be emailed these documents by him, proof of res, ID, all of that stuff. And you're going to receive this on email, and there might be a stamp there that says it was originally cited by the police station or by an attorney, and you're going to take these documents and you're going to file them. And you're going to say, okay, I have KYC'd Bradley. So when the regulator comes to do an inspection on you, you can whip out your file and say, yeah, we know our client. No, you don't. You don't know Bradley at all. You accepted documents from a total stranger. Right. So again, I'm not trying to turn you into experts, but let me show you what you actually need to know. So I know that there was a printing mistake made at Home Affairs between 1999 and 2002. That printing mistake is what you're now seeing here. The 7 above the barcode, right, should only appear on IDs between 99 and 2002. This ID was issued in 1996. I know that any IDs outside of that date range, their last digit should actually hang over the barcode to the right. So because I know that this printing anomaly occurred for those 4 years, I can use that as a security feature. So I know that because this number is appearing, the 7 on top of the barcode, it does not correspond with the correct date range. That's 96, not 99. I automatically knew that this ID was fake. Okay. Another way that we also knew, and in fact, I'm online, I can zoom in. So let me do that. Watch this. So I'm going to zoom right in for you. This barcode was created online. So if you scan that barcode with a barcode reader, you'll actually get the ID number, but you can make a barcode with free software online. So the fraudsters made the barcode in case we were using scanning software, but you will notice that the white background of the barcode is much cleaner and whiter than the background that it is pasted onto. And you can clearly see that it was pasted onto the ID. All right. Now, Bradley was totally confused. The fraudster was totally confused that we declined this application and told him to go away. And he said, guys, it's me, it's Bradley. Here, I'm going to send you a selfie of myself holding my ID. Why? This syndicate went to employees at Home Affairs because about 20% of the population do not have their photograph at Home Affairs. So they looked for people who didn't have pictures at Home Affairs so they could pull the wool over our eyes. Bradley was one of them. So they chose him specifically because his photo didn't appear at Home Affairs. Up until 3 years ago, my photo didn't appear either. My photo only now appears because I renewed my passport about 3 or 4 years ago. So the picture at Home Affairs is coming from the passports and it's coming from the ID cards. Okay, not the green ID books. All right. So he tried to convince us that it was him because he knew we couldn't check on the Home Affairs system and see the actual photo of the real Bradley. However, here's another trick. Let's look at Antonio. Antonio, his ID card is fake, and I'll show you in a moment why. But that photograph that you are looking at of Antonio is the real Antonio. That is his real picture at Home Affairs. Why? Because bad actors at Home Affairs are selling the real photographs to the syndicates. Okay. So all the banks, many financial institutions made this mistake during COVID. This is when this fraud type started. And so our KYC guys got a bit lazy. They were all sitting at home and all they were doing was matching photographs. So we log into the Home Affairs system, we see that, oh, it's the same photograph. It has to be genuine, and we let it go. Meanwhile, the physical card that photo was put into is fake. Okay, it is not real. So let me show you quickly, and it's nice doing it online because now I can actually zoom in. When I'm presenting on the floor, I can't. So if I zoom right into Antonio's ID, nice and big like this, you will notice the date of birth is darker than the rest of the writing. That's correct. That's what you want to see. However, the date of birth is embossed. If you run your finger over it, excuse me, I got a frog. If you run your finger over the date of birth, you can feel the numbers. Now, also, when you scan it, you can actually see that it's embossed. It's 3D. You can see that it's raised. You can clearly see on this one, it is a flat image. It is not embossed. Okay, so that's one of the telltale checks that you can perform. And I want to encourage you, when you ask for KYC documents, the best thing for you to ask for is a photograph of the ID. Even the most cheapest phones you can find, I've got 12 megapixel cameras, you'll get a really good clarity on the ID. Let's look at the back of the ID quickly and tell you why it's fake. So again, same story, look at the 1D barcode. The background of that barcode is much whiter than the background of the card. On the genuine cards, it's printed onto the card, so the background of the 1D is the same color as the card. It's that light green. Also, Antonio's photograph is in the wrong place. It should end halfway down the barcode. It is too far down. And the card number is in italics. Okay, it should not be that at all. Guys, thank you so much. That is pretty much the presentation. And I'll hand over back to Pitt. Thank you so much.
Just unmute myself. Thank you so much, Kevin. That was very insightful. I'm so scared. I'm sitting at the office. I'm too scared to go home. Might be scammed on my way home. So if there are any questions, if somebody wants to ask a question, please do so now. I don't see anything in the chat at the moment. There's nothing in the chat. There's nothing in the Q&A. So it looks like, oh, yeah. I got a message on my phone to pay customs duty for an online order. The link takes me to a courier service that requires me to pay via bank account. I must log into my bank account with my password to complete the transaction. Is this safe?
Nope, it's an absolute scam. So please don't touch it. That link is the fraudsters can see it as you logging in. They will see everything that you're doing. So yeah, please don't do that at all, because if you are expecting a package from customs, then you need to phone customs and deal with them directly. Do not do it electronically, okay? I suppose let me preface this with another warning. I'm sorry to say this. A lot of you are going to be disappointed when I say this. If you are an Android phone user, you need to be very careful. Okay, Android phones are susceptible to viruses, and the fraudsters are sending links, like in this example someone has just given now. If you click on that, you could inadvertently download a virus onto your phone, and as you type stuff into your banking, it will read all those passwords. The virus will actually be on your phone. We have had 3 clients that this has happened to. However, you cannot get a virus on an iPhone. That's why they are so much more expensive, because of the security that comes with the phones. So again, I'm not advertising any specific phone. What I will say to you is that Samsung is pretty good. So out of all the Android phones, Samsung is really good. Samsung is a product called Knox, K-N-O-X. If you don't know how to use it, Google it. Okay, and watch it on YouTube. You should be putting your banking app and all your photos and all your important things inside of Knox. That is military grade encryption. Okay, so if it's not an iPhone or a Samsung with Knox, then I suggest you get one of those two, because unfortunately, some of the other Android devices are very susceptible to viruses, and I do suspect that this example that Pitt has just given will initiate a virus download.
Okay, well, I'm so happy that I've got it right. I've got something right, because I'm a Man U supporter, and clearly that's not right. But my colleague on the call, he's got an Android, so I'm better off than he is. There's another question. What about automated password manager on the iPhone? That's not paid for, but is it secure?
No. So let me explain the problem with that. And in the example of the cell phone snatching I gave, what do you need to access the password manager on the phone, the one that Apple supplies? It's going to be the same rubbish password that you logged into the phone with. So the problem is if I know your rubbish password for your phone, I'm going to get into your password manager. So what you want to do is you want to split those two ecosystems away from each other. So you want an independent password manager that's got nothing to do with the operating system or the provider on Apple, and you want an independent password that goes into your phone. Keep those worlds very separate. That is the reason I don't recommend it.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kevin. And then here's the last question. The person says, I missed it. Where do I pause the card?
Okay, so if you are an Investec client, okay, if you go into the virtual card, on the landing page on the left-hand side, there is a pause button. You literally just push the button. If you bank with another bank, I'm sorry, I can't help you. You'll first have to check that they've got that functionality, and then they'll have to speak to you on how to use it. But on our app, it's just the pause button. It's literally in your face. You can't miss it.
Right, thank you. I can't see any other questions. Let's see, new ones. Is it better to make use of your Apple Watch to make payments instead of your phone? Is this advisable?
So they are pretty much exactly the same thing. So it's not better to use your phone or the watch. It's doing exactly the same thing. It's much better than using the physical card. So yes, please use your watch. It works beautifully.
Good. How do scammers know that I ordered online? What device is compromised?
No. So what they've done is, remember, your online package has to be delivered by a courier company. So bad actors inside the courier company are selling your information, because remember, they're handling your package and you're either getting same-day delivery or 2-day delivery. So the people that are processing your package inside the courier companies are selling that information to the syndicates. This is why they know.
Okay. So if I start a virtual card for online purchasing, how do I delete my old details from the online store?
Yeah, so what you're going to have to do, like, let's use Takealot as an example. If you've got a card saved on Takealot, you're going to go into Takealot, into your account. You're going to go to the card, and it gives you an option to remove that card. Remove that card completely, and then add your virtual card and make sure it's paused unless you're shopping.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kevin. Then there's just a comment in the chat that it was an excellent presentation. I concur. I have software on my Android phone, and I can get a regular warning. And I get a regular warning that they are trying to phish on my phone. Is this legit?
I'm not familiar with what software that is. It might even be your bank that's doing it. But if they are doing that, I do know there is some software out there that does that. I would just obviously be curious to see who's providing that software to you. I do know that some banks might be doing that. And if it is, it's actually a really cool thing to have. So I can't comment on the legitimacy of it. You would have to check who is providing that service to you. And I hope it's a bank.
Okay. I think this is an inside job. PWM has a client portal. Is it safer to use than email communication? I think we can answer that question from my side. Certainly, from a client perspective, definitely better dealing via the client portal than via the email. There's security built into that. So yes, use the client portal. It's a lot safer.
But remember, the password for the client portal must be nice and long. It's only as secure as the password that is securing it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, Kevin, I know that there are a lot of scams that do the rounds, and I know also that we tend to, when there's good news, we tend to lower, our guard, and especially with when SARS lets you know that they're going to pay you back. Please just type in your details so that they can make contact with you. Just want to warn clients about that. That is rife.
Yes.
And be aware of that. I think, Kevin, I think it's been so insightful.
My pleasure.
Thank you for sharing with us. I know in Kiberga, we've got clients actually in our offices, in the boardroom, attending the presentation.
Oh, wow, that's so cool.
So it's wonderful to have had you online. We took months to secure you, and now we know why. You have so many insights, and you make such a big difference in making our lives more secure. Thank you for sharing that with our clients, and thanks for your time. And to everyone on the call, thank you for joining us tonight. Have a wonderful evening.
Cheers, everyone. Thank you so much.